You know, our fastest roads, they're really designed for one thing, and that's speed. But what happens when that need for speed collides with a person just trying to cross the street? Well, a recent report from Michigan's Department of Transportation uncovers this really shocking and deadly pattern on these exact roads. And this is a pattern that could be happening, right in your own backyard. Okay, get a load of this number. 83%. That is the percentage of fatal pedestrian crashes on Michigan's fastest roads that happen at night. Yeah, at night. It's just a staggering figure, and it points to a problem that's way bigger than just, the sun going down. But here is where things get really weird, kind of counterintuitive. The report found that the absolute deadliest time for a pedestrian is when the fewest cars are on the road. Think about that. Less traffic, but more deaths? How on earth does that make any sense? All right, let's dive in and break down what's creating this absolutely deadly equation. So, it turns out, this is not just some random tragic coincidence. The report actually points to a very specific, dangerous combination of factors that just keeps showing up in these crashes over and over again. Okay, so first things first, what are we even talking about when we say high-speed road? Now, we're not talking about like interstate freeways here. This study is zeroing in on those roads with speed limits of 45 miles per hour or more. You know the ones, those main arteries that slice right through our towns and suburbs. And the impact of that speed? Wow, it is just undeniable. Just take a look at this chart from the report. You can see as the speed limits climb from under 30 up past 45 miles an hour, the share of crashes that end in a serious injury or death, it skyrockets. Speed, it's not just a number on a sign, right? It's a force multiplier for tragedy. Okay, so we've got the two main ingredients, speed and darkness. But where exactly is this lethal mix most common? Well, the report gets super specific on this. You might be picturing these crashes happening on some dark, lonely country road, right? But the data shows the exact opposite. The highest risk spots are overwhelmingly in urban and suburban areas. I mean, exactly where people live, where they work, and where they actually need to get across these super fast roads. And right inside these urban and suburban danger zones, that theme of darkness comes right back into focus. When the researchers drilled down on the absolute worst crashes, we're talking fatalities or injuries that leave someone incapacitated, they found a full 70% of them happened at night. So yeah, this just confirms it. Darkness is the critical trigger here. But this is where the whole investigation takes a really surprising turn. Because the real danger isn't just that the sun went down, it's that the safety systems we've built to replace the sun are failing, big time. I mean, it's the obvious question, isn't it? These busy suburban roads, they have streetlights, right? So why in the world are they still so deadly after dark? Well, the answer shows this huge disconnect between what we think is safe and what's actually happening on the ground. And this, right here, this is the absolute heart of the problem. On paper, a police report might list a crash site as lighted, just like you see on the left. But when researchers actually went out to these exact spots with light meters, the reality, what you see on the right, was completely different. These places were dangerously, dangerously dark. So what does dangerously dark actually mean? Let's put it in real terms. Light, you see, is measured in a unit called lux. Now, for a driver to spot a person in a crosswalk safely, experts say you need about 25 lux of light. The report found that at many of these fatal crash sites, the light levels were down between 1 and 6 lux. To give you some perspective, 1 lux is about as bright as a full moon on a clear night. Just try to imagine spotting someone crossing a 5-lane road in that kind of light. It's almost impossible. Okay, so the findings are pretty grim, I know, but the report doesn't just leave us there. It pivots directly to a whole toolkit of proven, effective solutions that we know can save lives. There really is a clear path forward. And the best part, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. This chart from federal guidance, it basically gives engineers a detailed playbook. It can tell them, for instance, that for a 2-lane road with a certain amount of traffic, this specific kind of crosswalk beacon is the best fix. The science is all there. We just have to actually use it. But we can boil down that whole complex chart into 3 really simple ideas. First, make the crossings themselves totally obvious, impossible to miss. Second, you gotta calm the whole road down to get cars to slow down. And third, and this is the big one, you have to fix that lighting problem.
When it comes to making crossings obvious, one of the star players is something called a pedestrian hybrid beacon, or a PHB. It's basically this special signal that a pedestrian pushes a button to activate. It stays dark until someone needs it, and then it flashes and tells traffic to stop. And get this, studies show it's incredibly effective, even on these high-speed roads. We're talking over 90% of drivers actually stop.
Now, for calming down the entire road, there are a bunch of proven tools in the toolbox. There are those solar-powered signs that flash your speed back at you. You've seen them. You can do what's called a road diet, like taking a 4-lane road down to 3, which naturally slows everyone down. Or you can even get clever and retime the traffic lights so they actually reward people for driving at the speed limit. And what about fixing the lighting? Well, that can be surprisingly simple too. It doesn't always mean we need to go out and install tons of new streetlights. A lot of times, the biggest bang for your buck comes from just swapping out old, inefficient bulbs with modern LEDs that you can aim precisely where they're needed most, right on the crosswalks. So, okay, the solutions exist. We know what to do. But are they realistic? The last part of this report tackles that all-important question. Can we actually afford to do this? And this cost-benefit breakdown is, well, it's pretty powerful. Just look at the return on investment. Simple, low-cost fixes like painting high-visibility crosswalks can have a huge impact on safety. And even the medium-cost upgrades like better lighting or those hybrid beacons, they deliver a very high return in lives saved. This isn't about some massive billion-dollar overhaul. It's about making smart, targeted investments that we know work. I mean, the report's own executive summary really says it all. This is not some impossible problem that needs an infinite amount of money to fix. The tools are out there, and they are affordable. Which really brings us to the final big question. We built these roads with one thing in mind, moving cars as fast as humanly possible. And this report, it lays bare the human cost of that design choice. But it also hands us a clear toolkit to fix it. So, the question isn't really whether we can make our roads safer. It's whether we will. Can our roads, which were so clearly designed for speed, also be designed for something else? For survival?